And welcome back to Nerd Rage. It is time for our newest segment,
Green Spot. We're supposed to say it together.
Okay,
One,
I'll
two.
do this, and then when I do
Okay.
this, okay.
Okay.
Screen Spot.
Okay,
Nailed it.
There we go. On Screen Spot, we're basically going to be checking out all the latest TV shows, movies, whatever it is, video games, and we're going to decide, is it worth it? Is it worth our money? So, the first thing we have to talk about, which is on everyone's mind right now. Okay, I'm getting really excited here because we were all over analyzing this over the weekend. Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
It's why I'm dressed this way.
Not Barbie, not Oppenheimer.
Barbenheimer.
So, okay, there is a lot of ways to go about this. So let's start it off by kind of establishing our panel right now.
All right.
So everyone looking at the camera right now, that camera, the main, looking, okay. So everyone looking at the camera right now, please raise your hands if you've seen Barbie. Okay. All right. Raise your hands again if you've seen Oppenheimer. Okay.
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to watch.
Actually really good because now we have a very diverse spread here of opinions and a
Yep.
lot of ways to go about this. So this will be really great in determining whether one's more worth it or the other, or if collectively Barbenheimer is really worth our attention and our money. So let's start talking about Barbenheimer first. Who wants to give us the rundown on what Barbenheimer is? What is this phenomenon? Karen, please take it away.
I'm dressed this way every day.
She
This
is.
Barbie is excited. So Barbenheimer is the couple name, the love team name of Barbie the movie and Oppenheimer because they released on the same release. This sounds wrong. So Barbenheimer is the couple / love team name for Barbie the movie and Oppenheimer, which dropped on the same day, July 19. In the States, it dropped July 21. This is quite a phenomenon because they have such contrasting genres and vibes. One is all about, your hero's journey and, the overcoming the odds. And the other one is Oppenheimer.
Somebody who saw Oppenheimer, and I enjoy Christopher Nolan films, it is not a happy film. So if you're into biopics and you want to find out about the life of J. Robert Oppenheimer, who was masterfully played by Cillian Murphy, I suggest you watch that, especially in IMAX. There are moral and ethical lessons to be learned from that, as well as what you do when you open Pandora's box, because that's exactly what happened when Oppenheimer built the atomic bomb. The US Army used it to drop bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Kaboom!
Yes.
Ooh.
So,
Very, very unfortunate.
very unfortunate. It's not a happy film, but it was masterfully made, and you have an all-star cast including Florence Pugh, Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, just to name a few.
Yeah, the guy from Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yes.
The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, that guy was there.
He was there.
The guy from Sky High was there. Isn't it nice to see the cinema thriving again?
Oh, definitely.
It's bustling with viewers.
Definitely.
And you know where actually, you don't even know which one they're watching because I saw people in pink and they're like, for Oppenheimer, please. They're like, and then you have people in suits or like just people you do not expect watching like a really pink aesthetic film, a Barbie-core film basically, and they're all like a bunch of dudes, like me and the bros pulling up to watch Barbie the movie. Like it's interesting that this cross breeding that's happening
This
among.
inner
Or yeah, it
promotion.
benefits
Yes.
both of them.
And so considering I've only seen Barbie, I was never able to watch Oppenheimer yesterday because sold out.
Yep.
So, again, good for the film industry or good for Hollywood.
Good for Hollywood.
Good for Hollywood
Yeah.
now, yeah.
Good for Hollywood.
But good for theaters here also.
Yeah.
What I loved about Barbie was the fact that it served as a very entertaining way to get into gender studies 101.
they were highlighting Ken, what's his role in Barbie, and of course, root word, patriarchy. You'll see it there.
And matriarchy.
Yeah.
Actually, they put both the extreme gender supremacist ideals.
Yes.
They showcase both of them. And, the point is, it hurts both men and women and all the identities within the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Because to achieve that kind of balance, you have to, make we need equality for all.
Exactly.
Hindi yung parang we will lord it over someone else. Dapat may hindi aangat. So it's so confusing to me that there are people criticizing it, saying, "Oh, it's pushing a feminist agenda." Poor Ken, poor Ken and his abs.
And while it also makes commentary on capitalism and how Barbie was marketed brilliantly, may I add, when you watch that film, you can see that it's also toxicity if you push one agenda over the other. It really has to be a balance. And
Yeah.
That's actually one of the great takeaways for me when it comes to Barbenheimer in general. Visually speaking, and even when it comes to their source material, they're both very different stories.
Yes.
At their core, they're very different stories. They're both very hyper stylized in their approach. One of the best things about the approach of Barbie is that in that opening scene, no real spoilers here, but the way you're introduced to Barbie world is the way people would actually play with those actual dolls and interact with those
It reminds you
actual
of
play
the
sets.
commercials.
Exactly,
Barbie that I
exactly.
watched as a kid,
Yeah.
and that were like aspirational to me. Like, I want to get one.
That was so great about it because when you look at movies that come from popular toy franchises, they really take those extra steps to really make the world feel lived in, like it's real, like it's tangible. But what's nice with the Barbie movie is that it really takes you at the very beginning into that sort of sense of childhood play that you could only get. And for me, it is, regardless if you grew up with Barbie or not as a toy, you're still gonna, if you ever played with toys as a kid, you're gonna find something to relate to with this movie.
Exactly, yeah. Honestly, that's the thing. Even us guys, we can relate to it because it was our era. And it also makes a commentary approach on generations. There's a generation gap, of course.
It's a girly movie. But it's also not necessarily about girls versus boys or anything. I think at the end of it, it's really about men and women trying to understand each other.
Yes.
I like that you brought on that point because I really resonated with Barbie when she broke down after girl bossing too hard. And because girl bossing is such a buzzword, there's this pressure put on women to just be perfect and to reach those unattainable goals that reach Olympus. That's how high it is. And it keeps moving and moving. And I like the quote about, you have to be thin, not too thin. Like, there are all these contradictions about being a woman and the feminine experience.
Right.
But also, you guys were talking about Ken.
Yeah.
And the thing with him is, it's also quite relatable, regardless
He got
of how
red
you...
pilled.
Yeah, he got
regardless of how
burnt.
you
He
identify,
got burnt.
because
He got burnt.
Ken could not find himself without having a relationship with Barbie. He couldn't find that identity. So I like the lesson for him that he had to be his own self, be a Ken without a Barbie. It's a Barbie and a Ken. So it's a good lesson for both. So it's interesting for me that there's some criticism about it being way too feminist when it's catering to both.
Yeah.
It caters to both.
and
Have you seen
that-
the movie, guys?
Yeah,
And
you
that's
should watch
also
it.
the thing to keep in mind. It's that when it came to Ken, it came to a point where it could have gone either way. They could have either found a way for people to sympathize with him or really gone all the way red pill with him. And ultimately, they actually did. What's actually really nice about it is that they did try to understand the reasoning over why you do have a subsection, you do have a subsection of typically cisgender straight men, young boys in particular, who sort of attach themselves onto these like ideas and whatnot. And it really actually tries to talk to them earnestly. Oh my gosh, watching Ken slowly go red pill was just
and obsessing over like cowboy.
Cowboy.
As I said, the
his,
patriarchy.
his mojo,
His
dojo casa house.
Oh my god.
Okay, admission time. I related
Dojo
to that.
Casa.
I related to that because back when I was a kid who did not know any better, I tended to look at my sister's Barbie. I mean, I was into He-Man, Thundercats, and all that, G.I. Joe, and I tended to look at my sister's Barbies, and I'd go, huh? That Ken over there, I'd like to see an entire toy line of Kens. And this movie showed it.
Yeah, you know, hyper-masculinity hurts
that?
everyone.
I wish I saw that when I was a teenager. Because I would have known better after watching
Yeah,
that
because
film.
there was a
Much earlier.
self-awareness with Ken later on. Like, he himself said that he didn't really enjoy the patriarchy when it was what it actually was. He was just like, you know, I thought it was gonna be run by horses.
Let's explore the themes going into Oppenheimer because, again, for a double feature, this was a bit of a beast, and I do honestly wish that I had seen Oppenheimer first instead of Barbie first.
That is
because
the recommended.
it's the recommended one.
It's the
Recommended order.
face.
I had to save my soul walking out of there, so I started chanting USA, USA.
Which I saw your status.
Yeah, why? And you've been whispering USA kanina pa. Why?
Oh man,
Why?
Oppenheimer's like that meme. You know the meme with like the biker, and then he puts his stick in the wheel, and then he falls down, and he gets mad. Like, who did it? You did it to yourself. You did it to yourself, bro. You did it to yourself. You made your own bomb. You made your own, you know, weapon of mass destruction. That's basically, there's like this dark humor there, actually.
It
Like,
is.
you know, hoisted by your own petard. Yes.
Again, it's a Christopher Nolan movie, so it's one of those things where you have to sort of watch it a bunch of times
the
over
wrong.
in order to really, because there's a lot going on. I don't know if you guys agree with me. It sort of felt like it was two different narratives coming together at once that was drawing together into a conclusion.
Yes.
Which I think we can all agree as we
Yeah,
have
even
discussed.
visually, you
Even
have
visually.
the colored version and then the black and white.
white.
version. There is a lot, and it's one of those things where when those narratives end, it doesn't really it has a conclusion, but it doesn't exactly have a climax.
It's so
Right.
interesting because, you know, it's historical based, so we know what's gonna happen, but
yeah.
for some reason, it's like, and then what? And then what happened?
There's a lot to take in.
There's a lot.
It's really based on how you enjoy these films, how you perceive it. But the best reference or comparison I can give is JFK. It's really like that. It's like there's that black and white moment where they're interrogating. They have those Senate hearings, and you have introspectives with the character.
Kind of hitting with the X marks on this because for me, like kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, where Barbie was kind of like a metaphor for gender norms, gender roles, and also massive consumerism in the 20th century. Oppenheimer, for me, has it has two overarching narratives that go against each other. For me, the first one, which you really see during the interrogation sequences with Robert Downey Jr., for me, it sort of feels like this much needed conversation America needs to have with itself over its paranoid obsession with communism.
Yeah, like a call out, right?
It's a major call out. It's
Fear of others. in
fear
general.
of others in
Others.
general. It really went into that script. So you have that one narrative going through it, which I think is a very important narrative today. I mean, considering the sort of political climate you have in the United States. At the same time, it's easy to see where the A bomb is basically a metaphor for things like AI and other nascent technologies of today. So these are it's interesting because we have these two big blockbuster movies, both put together for the most part by couples, both attaching themselves onto themes and figures from the 20th century that still resonate with us strongly today. So I think that's probably like one of the big strengths of the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon, the way it just things change, but things also didn't change.
And they stay the same.
at
It's
same
like a
time.
cycle.
It's a cycle.
It's more things change, the more they stay the same. It's IMAX, so I would highly recommend watching Oppenheimer in IMAX. It was built for the format.
You're gonna want to smoke after that. You're just gonna want to have a cigarette.
So yeah, can I just bring up something very interesting? I like the non-verbal acting that was going on because they were doing
yeah.
the investigation. You see Cillian Murphy in the background the whole time that people are like talking smack about him and roasting him, and he's just there and he has RBF and he's just like.
Let me try that. Di ba may close-up si
Yeah,
Cillian?
it's so funny because in the background he's just like, it's. Yeah, basically those cheekbones were popping, the eyes were gazing, and it was just such an interesting way of blocking where you can see him all throughout. He didn't have any lines, he was just basically facially reacting to people talking smack. I mean, that's probably my face if people were like dragging me through the mud. I'm like I would have been like.
He was reacting to all the noise. He was blocking the noise out, and Cillian Murphy lost a lot of weight just to look like Oppenheimer.
He looks very gaunt, and I agree with Ronnie about, I don't smoke, but it feels like you need some sort of release, or like I would probably be emotionally eating or something, because it's mentally and emotionally draining to go through those 3 hours.
It's mesmerizing, but it's not a happy movie, and that's why it also gives weight to his famous quote, "I have become death, the destroyer of worlds."
I am Barbie, destroyer.
There you go.
But you know what? I think it needs to be said that the Philippines was a beneficiary of the atomic bomb.
That's true.
Yeah.
But was there a better way of going about things without, killing innocent lives?
That's the big question.
That's the big question. It's a very moralistic and ethical question that everybody asks.
I think for questions like this, because I used to wonder about these things myself when I was in college and stuff, it's hard to have an opinion on it because we weren't there.
Yes.
I usually find for like questions like that, it's like, if you can find someone who survived, who was there during,
like the veterans.
Like the veterans, or even like someone who was a kid during World War, because they, some of them still exist up to now. Well, they, like, I'm talking about them like they're dinosaurs. Okay, they are. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet before I go any further.
Don't dig that hole.
Yeah, because they brought up something like, okay, because they were having second thoughts about creating the bomb.
Yep.
And they're always saying, like, the argument is always like, okay, if we don't do this, someone else is gonna do it.
That's
true. And it's gonna be much worse because they're gonna do it for evil things. So don't you wanna be ahead of them and create it? But then again, if you create it, it's gonna be like an arms race now. So everyone's scrambling to have their own
moral
version of
and
it.
ethical dilemma and justification.
Oh yeah, by the way, if you are a sciencey person, you're gonna enjoy, because I'm not super sciencey, but I remember my grade school science, and when I saw Niels Bohr there, I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant. I recognize this guy. I actually know him. And that's why I understand when people say it's the Avengers for nerds, because there are so many scientific minds there. I mean, people were losing their mind when they saw Albert Einstein. Like in the cinema where I was watching, every time Albert Einstein, old Al, was on the screen, people were shouting like, woo! Like he's about to like lay down the law. Like people threw him like the Captain America shield, and he's about to like throw down.
That's a good comparison.
Against the Axis powers. It's crazy.
So, we shared our opinions on the movie. What's our rating? Let's start off with Adrian, who's going to be rating Barbie.
Because of the enlightenment that I got from Barbie and Barbie Land, and being enough, I'm going to give it 5 Barbie dream houses.
I will give it 5 mushroom clouds.
Oof. All right, and last but certainly not the least, Karen, with your ultimate Barbenheimer review. What's your ultimate Barbenheimer rating?
Barbenheimer is an experience you do not want to miss, so I will give it 10 horses. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Come on, Bobby, let's go party. Woo!
Come on, Robert, let's blow up some stuff.
Yeah, Bobby, that's Bobby. Come on, Bobby, let's go party.
Yeah.